Hey guys, Chris here, back at it again with another, I was going to say review, but it's not a review. Um, so, today, usually I use my computer as a phone holder, but now I'm using a little bit of a weight as one. And the reason I'm using my computer, not as a phone holder, is because I have stuff on here that I have to look at. And I guess you can't look at stuff as you're recording. So, like, if I were to record and then go out and onto some other app, it would stop the recording, which is kind of annoying. And I think that's a feature on phones that really should be like not like that because it's not like the whole screen is the thing that's recording, as far as I know. But um, but yeah, I guess the gimmick, not gimmick, the thing about today, the topic of today's video is one I've been wanting to make for a while, but I just really haven't like thought of a way to do it. So basically, there to have a background here. Um, Czech people, I guess they used to and maybe still do, really liked American country music, especially in like the 60s and 70s. And a lot of that music they took and just turned into Czech essentially. And a long time ago, like May of last year maybe, when I was starting training for my job, I was listening to a lot of old like 60s and 70s like trucking music, even though I don't I mean I drive a bus, but like whatever. Um and one of the songs was There Ain't No Easy Run by Dave Dudley. And I kind of forgot about the song. Like it's kind of a forgettable song to be honest. It's just like a typical like, late 60s, early 70s trucking song like, "Oh wow, trucking is so cool." So I mostly forgot about it. And then last October, November maybe, I was at work. I was on my break just, scrolling Instagram, and there was like I came across like this Czech meme page, or it was like a post from a Czech meme page, and like it was something in like Czech, and the guy was like listing stuff, and it was like basically the Czech translation was like when you ask your mechanic what's wrong with like your like 20-year-old car or whatever. And I was like, wait a minute, like this song that's being used in the background of this meme sounds really familiar. Like I can't put my finger on it, but it sounds really familiar. So I looked it up, and it was the same tune, I guess, as There Ain't No Easy Run, except it was like in Czech. And I'm like, holy crap, that's wild. So it actually like became kind of one of my favorite songs. Uh, Ridic, Tvrdy. I can't I can kind of speak a little Polish, but some of these Czech words I can't say at all. Tvrdy, Chleb, Ridic, Tvrdy, Chleba ma, meaning the driver has hard bread or like a difficult job. But anyway, for a while I've wanted to know like what that like because it's obviously not the same lyrics as it is in English. So it's like written in or like the lyrics are in Czech and they're clearly different lyrics than they would be in English. Um, but I guess I wanted to talk about kind of like the differences between the two songs. So let me actually pull up the lyrics of There Ain't No Easy Run because that's kind of like the bass line. So it goes, I was sitting in the terminal waiting for my load when a greenhorn driver came in off the road. I heard him tell that foreman, "Get my little pink slip. This run's too tough and I'm gonna quit." Now, the foreman that day happened to be old Joe. Man, he was older than time. He said, "Son, how long have you been driving this rig? I drove all shapes, forms, fashions, and kinds. Here you are worried about this one little trip. Why, I drove 1,000,000 miles and then some." So it's like the equivalent of 10 years of driving, by the way, which is not all that much. He looked that greenhorn right in the eye and he said, "Boy, there ain't no easy run. I drove for Roadway, Interstate, Hopewell, Great Lakes, overnight in time. Just a bunch of trucking companies." And he just goes on, blah, blah, blah. And he says, "Now, if you got a gal in Texas, they'll send you up to Maine. If you got a gal in New York, they'll send you out to the plains. I know what your problem is. You got woman trouble, son. Well, like I said, there ain't no easy run." And then he names, like, literally, like, 20 more companies. And then he says, "I went backward, forwards, uphill, downhill, chill, spills, thrills, and pills. How about Atlas and Kramer? More trucking companies. How about that Nashville bypass on a Friday afternoon. That'll blow your shorts off. That's something else. And then he names more companies. So basically, the whole premise of the song is, yeah, I worked for a lot of companies, and basically, you're stupid because you're new and you haven't thrown your life away driving a truck. Whereas the Czech version translates a little bit differently. It goes, it kind of starts similar, and this is like Google translated to English, so it's not going to be, the exact lyric. Um, I was at the bus stand. I was standing at the bus stand when a young driver was drooling over his job. I don't know, probably just like angry about his job. And I heard him say that he would rather have peace than toil behind the wheel at night. And the dispatcher that night happened to be old Voda. He's older than time himself. He says, "Boy, how long have you been driving that box?" I've driven with everything that has ever had four wheels, and you're crying over that one ride. I've driven thousands of kilometers. So, like, that's not a lot either. Thousands of kilometers. I drive thousands of kilometers in 1 week. But whatever. And you can believe me when I tell you that the driver has tough bread. And then it says, they must, no, it goes, it just lists a bunch of stuff. The driver must know the steering wheel, brakes, clutch and gas, cylinders, pistons and gearbox, radiator, pump, like literally just a bunch of parts of like a bus. And it says, like, oh, good driver knows that. And then it goes on to say, once you've chosen the job, stick with it. It just takes a strong will and a piece of your heart, because only a real man can get behind the wheel, and every holiday driver knows that. I don't know what a holiday driver is, but it goes on to say, they must be alert, attentive, calm, cool-headed, imaginative, calculating, patient, polite, a full tank, seatbelts fastened, good eyesight, a first aid kit, money for fines, you have to pay insurance, lubricate, refuel, manage a skid, pay for damages, follow the signs. You must know the regulations, have a bit of luck, take off your dark glasses at night, that's true. It is better to walk around the city. Release the brakes before moving off. A good driver knows this. I know that drivers have a hard time. And then a driver is not allowed to swerve on the highway, stop hit against another car, a wall, a tree, honk at girls, let go of the steering wheel, pay attention to a hitchhiker, brake when skidding, obstruct faster cars, like pass cars, I don't know, swear at pedestrians, forget the car keys in the car, smoke at the gas station. So you can smoke in the bus but not at the gas station. Run over the boss's dog and in general, and then I think it goes back to like the refrain of, the driver has a hard time. But I feel like this song is like more, or this version of the song is a lot more helpful than just like, oh yeah, I worked for all these companies and you just started out and, oh well, any problem that you have, that's just your fault. And whereas this song, it's like, okay, so remember, you have to know all these different things and know all these different parts if you want to be good at this job. But also stick with the job because, it's a good job and you have to, it takes a strong will. And I don't know, it's just overall, I think like a better version of the song. Or I guess a better like, how do I put this? Like a better explanation of the theme of like, oh yeah, driving can kind of be a hard job. But like instead of just saying like, oh, I drove all these years, this one's like, oh, just remember to like, it is almost like, it kind of reminds me of like if you were to have to take a test to do this is almost like a study guide instead of just like, instead of like literally naming a bunch of now like defunct trucking companies. Like literally most of these companies, by the way, are gone. The only one I recognize, Yellow Transit, that went bankrupt a few years ago. I'm trying to see if there's actually any that I recognize. Navajo is still around. What else is there? Yeah, literally. there are two of these companies from a song from. What year did this song come on? Come on. What year did this song come out? I'm very curious. I think it was like 1968 or something. That sounds about right. There's a Johnny Cash version from 1970. So it came out. Oh, there's a Del. Oh, 1968. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, all these companies are gone. This guy's in his grave. It doesn't matter. But you still have this other version of the song where it's still applicable today. Most, like, everything here that this guy said is still applicable of, like, how to, like, be a good, like, bus driver. Yeah, maybe you don't need to know every single part because it's not like you're the one who's working on it. Because, like, I don't know. It lists all the parts. Or not all the parts, but it lists a lot of the parts. But, like, most of this is good advice, you know? Like, don't swerve on the highway. That's a terrible idea. Don't honk at girls. It's just going to distract you. Don't let go of the steering wheel. Like, it's generally good advice. It's more of an advice song instead of just, like, a guy yapping about all the, like, places that he's worked for. But, yeah, no, I mean, I'd say, yeah, I definitely like this version of the song a lot better. And, like, it's just more, it's better done. I don't know. Dave Dudley version, it's alright. It's just another trucking song, like, oh boy. Like, you know, trucking used to be a good thing in America, and that's a whole nother video I could get into. Even though I've never driven a truck, I know a good amount about the industry. Probably not as much as, like, people who actually do that do, you know, but, like, I know a decent enough amount. But what was I going on about there? Something about, I don't even know what I was saying. But yeah, this version's a little more well done. The best version, there are multiple Czech versions of this song, but the best one in my opinion is by Ladislav Vodicka. He's the guy that I originally saw this version of the song in, like, the version it's kind of funny, like the like music video for it is just him singing it, and, like, I don't know, it's just kind of fun. Like, he performs songs in an interesting way. I don't know. But yeah, no, I guess that's, like, all I wanted to say about it. It's just, like, you know, you have two of the same versions of or two versions of essentially the same song, same broad idea of, like, oh yeah, driving can be tough. And one guy has some dumbass perspective on it. Like, wow, that's real helpful. Thanks for giving me advice. And the other guy gives advice and is like, yeah, this is what you need to do. And it can be challenging, but this is what you got to do. So I'd say I like that version a little better. And I have a little bit of a bias because I'm 50% Polish. So some of these, you know, old Czech songs I really like. I did grow up with some Czech media when I was a kid. Like, I used to watch Patty Matt, which I thought for the longest time was Polish, but it's Czech, I guess. Not I guess, it's a matter of fact. But yeah, so, I don't know. Good song, good version of the song. I recommend listening to it. It's a 10 out of 10 song. I've listened to it for almost a year, haven't gotten bored of it. So, I don't know. And I get bored of songs kind of easily sometimes. So, yeah, I'd recommend it. So, that's all. I'll see you guys in the next one.